Welcome to the Campground Catalyst Podcast, the show dedicated to fueling success in outdoor hospitality. Whether you're an outdoor adventurer, a campground owner, or looking to build your legacy in outdoor hospitality, you're right where you need to be. We're here to guide you through the fascinating world of campground management, unique real estate strategies, and the gratifying opportunities created by outdoor hospitality. Our mission is to inspire and equip you with the knowledge and insights you need to build a successful business and create a legacy worth leaving. The Campground Catalyst Podcast is proudly sponsored by Beyonder Camp, your trusted outdoor hospitality experts. Subscribe now, join our active online community, and let's ignite our passions and potential together.
Welcome back to Campground Catalyst. I'm one of your co-hosts, Robert Earl. We got a Memory Makers section going on. Don Spafford, Justin Hoggett, Adam Lundy. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing great, Robert.
Well, thank you. How are you?
Real good. Want to share an experience of our full-time RVing. We pulled into a park one evening just before the office was closing. We said, hey, we've been on the road all day. Where's a good place to eat? And we got nothing but a blank stare back at us. So we're going to talk about in this episode how you can be engaged with your community as a campground owner, a campground manager, and help make memories for your campground hosts. So in your time on the road, Justin, Adam, Don, have you ever had a situation like that, or you've stayed someplace and they just really didn't have connections with anybody in the area?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it goes into the hotel space too. So just in general, we can say it's hospitality, right? And that's the space that we're in. And we're looking to help our guests out. And when we ask the question, what should we do? Where should we go? We should absolutely have a good answer. And a lot of that is just like you mentioned, the relationships with the local businesses working together. We're in the Better Business Bureau as well, and just making sure that we have things to do for our guests. And obviously part of that is making sure that they stay longer and have a great time.
Yeah, I'm going to say too, it does, like Justin said, it goes well beyond even just campgrounds, because obviously anybody in the hospitality space, so like when my wife and I travel, I start at the rental car desk at the airport, hey, where should I eat? And if they tell me, oh, there's a Denny's down the street, like, that person's written off in my mind. But when they start giving me, when I walk out with a list of all the local hotspots, and the holes in the wall and stuff like that, that's when I know I got a good person. So it definitely means that, you have to get involved in your community and know your other business owners.
And maybe have the next question from our staff be, well, I don't know, what do you feel like? Right. And actually dive into how you can help them to the best, instead of just giving maybe your favorite place.
So let's talk about some of those techniques of a hospitality business. How do you gather this information? And then we'll talk about the best ways to get it out to your guests. So what's the best way, Dawn, that you connect with other businesses? I know that you're quite fantastic on it. What's your number one go-to source that you do electronically?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, to go back to this, I guess that last theme there. I mean, the easy way, easy pickings, I guess. So we can start with like, a Google search. What's the good place to eat near me or whatever. And there's easy to get a list from there. You can then pass on to people, saving them the task of looking it up, I guess. Obviously, if you've been to some of those yourself, then you can more easily say, well, actually, I like this, but I do like what Justin said a minute ago. But ask them what do they feel like, what do they like? Maybe they don't like steak, they like Chinese or something. So you could have that range. Okay, oh, you do like Italian. Well, here's the best Italian place to go to, or here's the second best if they're packed or whatever. It's good to know what's around you, and obviously you may not be the one to have gone to all those places, but you ask around, you ask your friends and people like what are their favorite places to go, and just over time, you get some places have a reputation in the neighborhood or in the area to be the best place to eat, or one of those places where one of those TV shows goes to and stuffs their faces with, but then you give those kind of recommendations, and I'd say even better if you can have all those things on an actual list rather than kind of naming them off to everybody, expect them to remember it all. It's like, here's a list of some places with the addresses, and then you can mark, I really like this one, I really like that one for this reason or whatever. That way it kind of gives them actual a service you're giving them more than just naming off. Yeah, go down 3 blocks, turn right and turn left, and you'll be there. And they'll forget halfway there how did they get there. So it's good to have a lot of stuff available for them.
It goes beyond though just having a list of places to refer people to. I mean, we could go put together a list of local restaurants. Heck, I can use Google Maps and pull up the top rated restaurants in the area, but that's not really what we're looking at talking about today. And it's certainly not what we've looked at within our company and how we interact with our local communities. When we first got into campground ownership, I think we saw that there was going to be a time when you might have travel limited, and we had that. We had fuel prices that were exorbitantly high. So it really impeded people's ability to get around. So you all of a sudden now had to rely on who was in your backyard. So we had, fortunately, the foresight to get all of our campgrounds into their local chambers of commerce. That was step number one, networking with those other business owners. So not only are you building a list of, the good mechanic in the area and the top restaurants and those other services you can provide, but more important, they know about you. They have the opportunity to refer people your way, and you can now cross campaign with them and be a local hub within your community. So this has paid big for us, especially as we've gone into it beyond anyway, new marketing efforts this year now, where we're relying on these local businesses to market with us. It's helping pay for a lot of our campground maps and collateral and such too. So so this is way more than just handing out a list of restaurants. Anybody can do that.
Sure.
Definitely. And doing the connections, I teed up Dawn. If you're not connected with Dawn on LinkedIn, you are missing out. So having that opportunity with the businesses, if I was in that position, I've shared this with our general managers, I would be inviting these businesses out to the park. So you're going to have the businesses that are going to drop off their cards, the RV repair tech or those types of companies, but making it being purposeful about reaching out to these businesses that are in the Chamber of Commerce and inviting them out. We have one situation where our park in Louisiana, we have an event space, and there's a local craft store that's actually now offering classes. It's classes to our monthly seasonal guests that they can attend, but also the general public can attend. Well, that's a win-win situation because the business was able to do some things to promote. And once they came to the park and they saw what we had available of amenities and the layout of what we had out of our event space, they're the ones that came up with the idea of, hey, could we host something here or co-host something? So inviting those folks to your park and getting to know them a little bit better is and not just in the area of restaurants, but across the board of items that your guests may need.
Yeah, it goes beyond people just. Go ahead, Don.
I would say a good place to kind of go along with that is if your area has a local farmers market. Besides just your farmers selling stuff, there's oftentimes businesses there. At least the ones here near me. There's often that the local restaurants put on a little food truck or booth there to also have their food or other services that are maybe in the area. A good place to go around and connect with a bunch of them, give them your card, tell them what you're doing, and invite them if they want to bring out their service to your campground. Or have some coupons you can give to your guests to go to visit their business. Could be a great way to connect with a bunch of them at a one-stop location.
Yep, absolutely. I was going to go off of what Robert mentioned, though, which, specifically with our Louisiana campground, and the example there is, most of the time you don't think about, looking in your local town for a campground, right? Usually when you want to go somewhere else for that. So you might not even be aware of what's around. In fact, our manager down there, she came up from that town, that where our campground's located. She didn't even know that we had multiple pools and that we had this event space and that we had all these things. So right when she came on as manager with us, she started coming up with all these ideas about how we could use the event space more. And then, these people didn't just find us on their own, these local businesses, because again, they're not thinking to look for campgrounds, but we reached out to them. It was a proactive effort that we listed all of our managers in, reaching out to their local businesses to get them in. And, as a result of that, just at that one campground, for example, we now have multiple events and recurring businesses that have come from these outreach efforts, because our goal is to be a hub in the community. Yes, we want our, out of state travel, we want to attract those people in, but we also can't neglect the local business, because if we get another big spike in gas prices, or we get another 2020, health apocalypse, whatever you want to call it, that's, restricting interstate travel, we're going to be relying on the folks in our backyard. And that's really what's essential for sustaining our business, more than just providing the value to our guests.
Yeah, and I'd say even think beyond just the services. There's plenty of businesses that may not necessarily be a direct service that could be related to the campground or either direction, but there may be some kind of corporate events they want to put on to take all their employees out for a weekend to go have some fun. It's like, hey, welcome to bring your group to our place. We've got the event center, we've got the these activities and whatnot. So it could be a great resource for those local businesses that just want a place to go and have a retreat.
We can't prejudge what those businesses are. And so what we like to say and what we like to do is, and I'm dating myself here by saying that we have a yellow pages exercise that we go through. So the yellow pages exercise is really that we're going to go through the letters of the alphabet. And for each letter of the alphabet, we're going to talk about a category of business that we want to make sure that we reach out to, because we do have seasonal guests. We do have monthly guests, not just the overnights. So if they needed a accountant, if they needed an architect because they're having a house built and they're staying with us for a period of time, if they needed to go to a bank, we would know about the banker. We would know about the consultant or contractor, the dentist, the estate planner. And of course, I always like to get to F and talk about the funeral home director because people are dying to work with them. Ha ha ha. Okay, so I always have to get that one in there. But if you go through your different letters, and what was interesting is our park managers coming up with some pretty good ones, because when you get to Q, when you get to X, when you get to Y, Z, of them coming up with businesses, and it really gave them an excuse to reach out. Hey, I had this exercise I had to do, and your business happens to fall into this category. Your business name happens to fall with that letter. And it made them stop and really be purposeful and reach out. When you make these reach outs as well, about 80% of the conversation needs to be about them. So you can use this for any business, but you reach out, and I would reach out to Justin and say, hey, tell me more about your business. I'd love to learn more, because then I'm not boxing you in. I'm giving you an opportunity to talk about the most important person in the world, you.
Yeah. And there's some opportunity to cross collaborate with some of these businesses. I mean, think about it. Maybe you get to D in the alphabet and you come up with daycare. So you call a local daycare and you talk to them. And next thing you know, you guys are masterminding a summer camp for kids at your campground. And you can get them out there running it for you, running activities for you, maybe even kids' activities on your property. You might be offloading some of your responsibility to them, and a lot just in exchange for allowing them to promote their business while they're on site.
I'm going to add in there, excuse me, neighbors. We have various properties that are near neighborhoods. The neighbors are very valued around the area, and the reason why is because they definitely come and visit, and creating that community feel has always been really important with us. And having the buy-in of the neighborhood, regularly communicating with them. I call it PR, but it's just really having good conversations with the people that have been, even for us too, like around the campground for many, many, many more years than we have. So they've seen the history. They understand what has happened there, what maybe has worked, what hasn't worked. They have some very valuable information that can be shared with us, and also at the same time making sure that we're doing what we feel collectively is best to make sure that they're coming back and having a good time.
Not to mention, we want them on our side for the time when we have a rowdy guest right next door to them, so that they'll give us some grace.
And that is a very particular. Sometimes we do not have fences that block off some neighbors. So yeah, we are very close, and sometimes we have to make sure that as a neighbor, we're doing our part, right? And so also, I wrote a note here. Before in events, just making sure that we're working with the community where we can bring in the fire, the police, like for the kids more often than not, but having some events that are kind of maybe a parade. We have golf cart parades. We have a lot of different things that can bring in also with the neighbors too, that have golf carts and visit our properties. Just having a lot of good time, and those fire chiefs have trucks that they want to get out and just exercise sometimes. They don't not always using them, but come spray water, hot day, perfect opportunity.
What's a double benefit there is they get to know our park. So if you're a park owner or manager, having them out so that they know the lay of the land, they also have a presence. We've made offers at a number of our parks for the police officers to do paperwork in our parking lot, or be able to come by. And I also know that we take care of our UPS and FedEx delivery folks that are delivering packages. A bottle of water goes a long way to making sure your package gets there, but also they know the layout, and they're there to take care of your guest by providing the deliveries in a timely manner. But definitely with the police and fire, of them getting to know, they're not going to stop at the front gate and ask for a map when it comes time for something to be an issue. So you want them to know where things are at and what the layout is, and just doing that. The Chamber of Commerce, you talked about that we're members with the Chamber of Commerce, Better Business Bureau, the local organizations from that. Adam, what's the benefit of that, doing that with the chamber? Because I'm looking at it as maybe a park manager or owner and saying, is that really an expense that I need?
Most chambers of commerce, and I can't speak for them all, are usually a few $100s a year. Somewhere $300 to $700, I think, is about the range we're used to with that. So if you look at that investment across the year and the connections you can make, you got to do more than just show up to the mixers and take the free drinks. It's more than that. You want to actually get in there and shake hands with all the other business owners, and you're going to find a lot of people who are new in business. That's who usually joins the chambers. People who are in their first couple years of business. There's some long-term people in there, but a lot of people are in very infantile businesses, and they're going to be willing to hustle. So if you can provide them a platform, potentially they're going to gravitate toward you. So again, that's where if you find the restaurant owner who you can have, hey, come do a food sampling day at my property sometime, and you can give out coupons and put your branding up, and get the local brewer to come out and do a beer tasting on site. I mean, you're giving them a stage to get in front of new people they might not otherwise see. But then, again, like I mentioned too, find the people who are in childcare, find the people who provide services to the general public. Those are going to be the people you want in your space. They're also going to come with their own budgets for marketing. So right, you're giving them an opportunity to market. Robert had a great example before. Is we have a tie-dye T-shirt day as one of our activities often on our campgrounds. Well, get the local business who wants to sponsor the T-shirts for it. T-shirts can get expensive. Now you get them to give a T-shirt that's got a small amount of branding on it. The kids aren't going to care. They're going to care more about their tie-dye design, and you just got an activity sponsored for you. And you just saved a tremendous amount of money. So if you're doing it right, that cost to join the chamber should be paid back to you in spades, with the amount of value you're going to get back.
Great. So now we have these relationships. How do we let our guests know about this? What are we doing? So we brought up a couple different things. We don't want just to strictly have a list, but Justin, you were talking about some of the, I guess I'm from my real estate background, scripts and dialogues. When I go to a Broadway show, I expect to hear something in a certain way. What do you expect to be coming out of the mouths of the managers or the staff when they're asked these types of questions?
Well, from the very get-go, I mean, definitely a welcoming attitude, right? And we've always had the vision of creating a concierge type of service for our guests. And so, how can we help? And that's really the biggest question I think that they can ask all of our guests. How can I help? And it can go very shallow. It can go very deep. It can simply, do you need help backing into your site? Well, we don't really typically promote that just because of unfortunate liability. However, we are looking to make sure that they get comfortable and set up correctly. And I'm happy to answer any questions for those first-time RVers, because we've seen a lot of those. But having not just the list, but understanding your guest, and sometimes it's a matter of knowing them by name, right? Mr. Hoggett, in my case, right? Like knowing every time they walk in, hey, how can I help? You must be in here for maybe a reason. So as far as a script, there's a lot of different avenues. I think Adam can touch base on a specific book. I can't think of the name, that the chapter that we have the general managers listen to on our serviceability and the quote unquote book and how to do things. Robert, you're setting up the full hookup process, right? How do we interact with people? How can we do our best to make sure that our guests are happy?
Yeah, what Justin's referring to, and I know I've talked about it on our show here before, is the E-Myth Revisited. Anybody in business has got to read that book. But I think it's chapter, don't quote me on this, 15. He talks about the niche hotel. And it is when we revamped our service model at Beyonder, that was the vision we used. I still get chills every time I listen to that chapter about just that level of service they're providing and that attentiveness to the guest needs. And that, I think, is what you're driving at, Robert, is, just training our staff to actually be aware of how they can provide value and the difference that's going to make in a guest experience. Because I'll tell you what, when you get people off the road, even the best of RV trips, things are going to go wrong. Something's going to break. You're going to be tired. You're going to be cranky. Kids are driving you nuts. When you get to the campground, you're usually at your wit's end. And if somebody can alleviate some of that trouble that you're dealing with, some of that pain that you're dealing with, it's going to go a long way to creating a 5-star experience. Somebody could roll in and we're not responsible if they broke their RV on the way there. And we could say, well, I'll just call somebody to fix it. But if we can say, oh, I know Bob. Bob's my RV repair guy. He can come over. He'll take care of you. You just go get settled in. We'll get Bob out here for you, whatever the case is. That's going to go a heck of a long way rather than them having to go through and call a bunch of numbers and find somebody and maybe get the bad guy that doesn't do good work. Right. So, if anything, it's just being attentive and then, you're always seeking to find ways to support that person.
Knowing the area, especially if you have work campers that are coming in, giving them some of the low-hanging fruit. So we talked about restaurants, but some other areas for guests that are involved, the RV repair tech. Where's the local library? What is the rainy day activity that they can do? Where's the local grocery store? Where is the liquor store, beer and wine, if you're not already selling it yourselves at your park? Veterinary services, those are something that are very important. And then I just had a reminder yesterday of the weather, of way things were going through. What AM radio station do I need to tune into to get the local weather? In many cases when I'm traveling, I don't know what county I'm in, and we've had to make it a point of knowing what county are we currently located in, because they give a weather warning to say Benton County has an emergency or is under particular watch or warning, and you're like, where are we and what are we doing? So that's something that we're going to definitely make sure that we have on our informational handouts, is the vet, the dentist, the AM radio station, the TV station, those types of things for people to tune into, because you're not at your regular home court and you need to know this type of information, and anything we can do to make that easier for our folks is that much more simple. Where's the ATM, the closest ATM with the lowest fees, if we don't already have an ATM like we do in a couple of our parks? That helps. You do that for somebody, that it'll pay off in spades for sure.
Absolutely. One thing I want to throw in there, because I didn't get to mention before when you guys were talking police and fire, obviously, using your free local resources to get more attention on site is going to be big, both from a community engagement standpoint, but also from a safety standpoint. And I'll throw this out there as somebody who has a decade of law enforcement experience. There's a reason you always see cops hanging around 7-Eleven. They give out free coffee. So if any police officer walks in, they get free coffee. So just think about that. That might be something worthwhile. It helps bring a little bit more presence on site. If you can give out a cup of coffee that costs you a nickel, out of the pot of coffee or whatever the case is, it's absolutely worth it. And you'll get those guys hanging around. And like I said, it's going to be good for keeping people tame and also for, just that engagement.
Yeah, I always had a case of Monster for, I had my UPS guy and my police officer, and I knew they both knew what their flavor was, knew what that part was, and it pays off because they're giving more attention, and it just positions your park that way. We talked about partnerships or having events that you could hold together. We have one of our parks that we do a haunted house type of setup, in that what we also would have is volunteer type of organizations is something that we haven't touched upon. Just being of service to the community, allowing them to, they're always looking for, whether it be fundraisers, and how much does it really cost you to have their flyer sitting at your front desk for somebody to be able to make a contribution, but also for a space for them to be able to hold an event. a lot of goodwill that you can do. I also like to be purposeful about it, of reach out to the local newspaper, the local TV station, those types of things. We had a 5K run at one of our parks last year, and the local TV was out there and recording it. And there was Boomer. I think Boomer made it about 0.5K, but did pretty good running it, and got lots of exposure on TV.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, and also too, to your point, Robert, I mean, getting involved with local charities, local parades, and events at the town and county level that you're in, are just going to go a long way to getting that exposure. Get out there, give out your free, your marketing materials or your freebies, just to help bring more awareness to who you are. We're certainly in a public facing business, and no need to be a secret agent.
Fantastic. Well, hope this has assisted you if you're thinking about being in campground ownership or management. This is kind of the comprehensive view that we take, and we may have missed something. So visit our Patreon community. We'd love feedback on this. We'd love for you to subscribe, share this, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Campground Catalyst Podcast, where we take you behind the scenes in the fun and gratifying world of outdoor hospitality. We hope you were inspired by today's show and better equipped to take the next steps in your journey. Remember, you can continue the conversation and connect with fellow enthusiasts by visiting our website and joining the Campground Catalyst community on Patreon at campgroundcatalyst.com. There, Patreon members get exclusive access to special listener perks, they get their opportunity to engage with the host, and they get their questions answered on one of our future upcoming shows. The Campground Catalyst Podcast is proudly sponsored by Beyonder Camp, your trusted partner in fueling your success in outdoor hospitality. Until next time, keep both your campfires and your passions burning.